Hey Ben, how's it going?
Hey Diego, absolutely
Hey.
terrible. How
Yeah.
are you?
Okay, welcome. So yeah, we're waiting a few minutes to see if more people join, and then we'll officially start. And I'm seeing some new faces here. Is that right? I always love when we have more people, new people here, because we want to grow the party to be like the best community, Webflow community out there. Not only talking about Webflow stuff, but things in general that might help you guys on freelancer career, etc. So it's exciting to see more people join. So how's the week, everyone?
We're gonna do. Oh no, go ahead.
Yeah, no, you can go ahead, Tony. Have something to share?
I was gonna say, are we gonna do like kind of like an ask me anything? Take some questions from the crowd, etc. Is that a thing?
Yeah. I have a few questions of my own here, and after that, we'll open up the chat. Like people can just ask questions on the chat, then we'll get the questions to you and we can reply.
Cool.
That's the idea. Okay, 21 people and growing. That's starting to get excited. Okay. And sorry, guys, I know you guys missed Melissa. Melissa's the queen of the party, right? She's the best host we have here. But I guess that me and Eric, it's all you got today. But we hope to compensate that by having an amazing conversation with Tony and Cory.
We'll do our best.
Yes, let's do our best. Yeah. Sorry up front for the bad jokes and all that kind of weird stuff.
We're no Melissa. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Melissa is the queen of the party. She's the official host of the Flow party. Me and Eric were just like filling in because she's traveling, trying to do our best here too.
She's back like next week, right?
No, yeah, next week.
That's this week. So.
Oh yeah. Oh, Marina, we have someone from Brazil. Where are the Brazilians? Come on, show your face, people. I want to see everyone's faces. Don't be shy, Danny. Hey, Danny, how's it going? Danny's our distinguished gentleman here at the party. He's like, look at Danny's face. He's just a piece of
Look at my hungover face from last night and corrupting me.
Yeah, yeah. Danny's in hangover. I saw you guys had a pizza party there alone. Yeah. I wish I could attend to all those things, but come on, guys. We need to grow the community here, Webflow community in Brazil, so we can have the kind of fun stuff. I'm definitely missing out some of the fun live stuff. Okay, we're coming. Okay, I think we can get started already. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Flow Party. And this week we'll have an amazing conversation with two amazing people. One of them is an amazing hero that can save all your Webflow builds, the Flow Man, aka Cory Runnells. And we also have here he who orchestrates amazing builds, and his work sounds like music, which is Flow Maestro, also known as Tony Seets. Nice to have you here. Yeah, how's it going, guys? And we're playing this conversation for a long time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Somehow I roped us into it. I think you roped me into it. I'm not sure how it all played out. It was all on Twitter.
Yeah. Everything just happened organically, and yeah, I'm happy to have that conversation here because I think that a lot of people can find some value on this conversation about the freelancing career and what we call the leap of faith into the freelancer career. Because a lot of people are unsure about like when and how to do that, how to get into full-time freelancing. And that's what I want to discuss today. Like, we want to hear your stories, like how you decided to to go with full-time freelancing, when you found out which was the right time to do it, and how's it going, so everyone can understand the goods and the struggles as well as being a full-time freelancer. So yeah, that's it. So you guys want to introduce yourselves first? I think everyone knows already who you guys are, but anyway, you want to talk about something about you, your history. Like one of my first questions would be like, what was you doing in the past before you decided to be a freelancing, and why you took your decision? So wanted to start with that. Want to go first, Cory, because you have an amazing story. I follow you on Twitter for quite some time, and I know you've been through a lot until you got here.
Yeah, sure. So, age before beauty, Tony. Sorry.
Oh, come on.
I gotta level up.
Yeah, I guess I don't know. Long story, somewhat short. I had been working in healthcare for almost the last 16 years now. So I just quit my job last week. Last week was my final week of my almost 16-year career. So I was an X-ray technician or X-ray technologist. Took X-rays since 2007. It was working in like hospitals. I worked in a busy inner city hospital for like about 12 years, almost 12 years. Eventually just got really burnt out. Getting older is hard. Having kids and doing all that. I had enough of it. So I took kind of a promotion to go work in a more of a clinic setting, which was less taxing emotionally and physically on my body. But after doing that for a few months, it just wasn't working out like I planned it was going to. And I kind of got to the point where I was like, I thought I wanted to get into management, but this is not what I expected, and I don't like it. So it got for me where I couldn't see myself doing what I was doing for another 20, 30 years until I retired. I had to find something else to do. Otherwise I was just going to be miserable. But I didn't know, like, what can I do? At that point I was almost 40. It's like, what can I learn now at this stage of my life to start over? I'm really going to start over. Like, it just sounds crazy, but it's kind of one of those things like, if I never did try, what are the regrets going to be down the road? So I eventually settled upon learning all about front-end development and started learning how to code, learning the basics of HTML and CSS. And I was having a good time learning. Was having fun learning until I got to JavaScript. I stopped having fun when I started learning JavaScript. And,
yeah, love-hate relationship, right?
Yeah, and like I get the importance of JavaScript and how it could have changed my life by learning it, but I was just like, do I want to spend a bunch of time on something that I'm not enjoying? Like, why go from one thing I hate doing and go into something else just because for money? I don't know. So I kind of took a break. I took a step back, and I was like, let me kind of just get into web design. Let me try to learn more about web design. Maybe that is more of the outlet I'd like to do. And through doing that, that's when I discovered Webflow. And the most cliche thing ever is to say, like, it's love at first sight. As soon as I found it, I knew this was it. For me, I'm a very visual learner. Like, I have to see things to understand them. And like back when I was just hand coding CSS, I'd write a line and then I have to refresh my browser because I have to see it right away. And how long would it take to develop something if you're stopping every 2 seconds to refresh? So found Webflow, immediately just loved it and just dug into it more and more. And now we're here a few years later,
Cool. Yeah.
Still learning tons every day. Tony is my hero because I bother Tony all the time with questions.
To be fair,
I bother you too.
Yeah, you guys are my heroes as well, because I follow your story on Twitter since I joined, and I saw like you trying several things until you got into the Flowman thing, and it was just like great to see that you finally got into the
Yeah.
point that you could do the leap of faith and go full-time freelancer. It was amazing to see that story.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, there was
Mhm.
a lot of failure to get to this point, and the whole Flowman thing was just a stupid idea that ended up working out. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. I just thought, hey, this is dumb. Let me try this.
Yeah, you said stupid, but I think it was the best idea you had because
Well,
it's
that's
amazing. The concept, everything
well, that's
worked really
how I'm
well.
gonna make any decisions here on forth. If I think it's dumb, I'm gonna do it. If it's not stupid, I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah, that's
That
a
seems
good
to
way.
work out.
Yeah, that's a good way to think. Yeah, cool. And Tony, so can you share your story? Like, what did you do before you started doing freelancing, and how you decide that you wanted to be a full-time freelancer doing Webflow stuff?
Yeah. So let's dial it way back some years. I just a high school graduate, never went to college, etc. Took a few odd jobs right out of high school. Nothing super satisfying, no big career path, no crazy goals. I kind of lucked into a job where somebody kind of took me under their wing. I worked for a big retail grocery chain called Safeway here in the US. And I had started there scrubbing toilets, essentially. Like I was a courtesy clerk. I was pushing carts, helping people with their groceries, taking stuff out. And then I did that for about a year. And then somebody took note of like the quality of work and the detail in my work and my, my actual care for the customers and the presentation of our business, etc. And was very fortunate to have somebody kind of keep pushing me up the ladder and having me kind of chase some different opportunities inside of that. So I got promoted like 7 times in like a 10-year period, and like just kind of it all just kind of happened organically. It was never like I had my sights set on any one specific thing. A role would come up and I'd be like, you know what? I'm kind of bored with what I'm doing. I'm going to try this thing. So then I'd push all my chips in, and that's what I was trying to do. And lo and behold, like every time I did that with enough effort, I could keep doing it. And I got shot down a couple times along the way. And then eventually the store manager, district manager level position started to, catch my eye. And then I got on that track and I was promoted to an assistant store director after I did all this traveling for like an IT conversion program for them when they were acquired. And then I did that for a few years and thought that I wanted to become a full-on store director, and realized that like that isn't how I wanted to spend my life either. Very similar to Cory. It was like I have to do this for the next 20 or 30 years. Like I'm essentially already fulfilling this role, and I can't see myself going in and doing this every single day. And then having somebody else to have their thumb on me and my schedule. It's a thing that's like consistently bothered me, I guess, since right? Like I was a little miscreant in school, etc. I had a hard time sitting still or attending class. So I had a hard time like believing that was what I was actually going to do. So somewhere a couple years before I quit, I started looking at some different opportunities for how to get myself out and how to get myself working kind of on my own schedule. And I entertained a lot of different stuff. Like I became a certified personal trainer. I got really into health and fitness. I entertained going back to school and getting a bachelor's in health sciences to become a nutritionist because I like way geeked out on food. And then like I actually like when I got the certification for personal training, like that was the point when I realized I didn't actually want to do that either. I'm like, I could go to the gym and then like work with people on their fitness every day by a gym schedule, or like I could do it in people's homes. And I don't know, that's awkward. Okay. I just didn't do the math beforehand. And when I met my wife, my current wife, I I always entertained doing something with computers and technology. Like I've always just been a total nerd. Jailbreaking my iPhones and overclocking my Android phones and building computers from the ground up. I did some 3D stuff back in my youth. Always been capable in Photoshop. I built some websites as a kid. So I had seen the possibility of being able to do something on the web to build websites or offer hosting to local businesses or something of that nature. So I started looking at different ways to do that. And like one of the first things that I came upon was, the pre-built like WordPress setups, which are like, you can host all these different client setups and websites through a dashboard, and you can like basically run all their billing and everything through a whole system. And I figured that I could offer that at scale. And somewhere early in starting that process, I found Webflow and like literally just dropped everything I was doing. I did the university tutorials, the entire thing in like a 2-day span. And I've kind of been hooked like ever since. I think a lot of that was like my history with Photoshop and 3D Studio Max. Everything felt just so smooth. It was like, this is where I'm supposed to be. And then like I noticed that Webflow had client billing, and I could facilitate a lot of the things that I was doing there or like had planned on doing. And so then I went all in on Webflow. Kind of did a little bit of what Cory did. I stumbled through some different failures on that front. Like I started, a solo agency to offer design and branding and strategy and all the marketing, and realized like over time that I wasn't very good at it, and like I didn't have the history in it, and it's really hard to I don't know, it's really hard to do all of those things by yourself, and then do it at scale, and then to market it and manage all of those things on top of a full-time role. So I did that kind of on the side, and I helped some local businesses for 2 or 3 years, maybe just a handful of clients, and was decently successful at that. But the whole time I was tinkering in Webflow. Like my dashboard is filled with a bunch of builds that have never made their way public, just like learning the fundamentals of HTML, CSS, pulling code from the forums, from Stack Overflow, and just trying different things. And then I think early this year, I kind of had this realization that I'd been at this for like 3 years, and I hadn't made any like significant progress. I'm like, I am effectively spinning my wheels, just wasting money, wasting time. I'm exhausted. My wife is mad. And it's like trying to juggle all of those different things and carry on a social life and like maintain a good, state of mind. I had to get like really serious with myself and be like, what am I going to do to make this work? And I set out to do a few different things, and lo and behold, they all worked. So that's kind of how all that played out.
Nice. Yeah, it's really inspiring to hear like your stories, like how you like you were on a position before, and then you had like a realization moment when you saw yourself like not doing what I'm doing right now for the rest of my life. That's not what I want to do. Yeah. So both of you, like, you try to find a path to freedom. Like, what is freedom? Like having control of your time, actually having fun doing things you do, like finding joy on your life again through your work. And it's so cool to hear that Webflow was the thing that allowed both of you, well, myself included, to find that path. Like when you guys found about Webflow, let's see, that's it. That's what I want to do. I have the same kind of story. Like some people already know my story, but I was working like a full-time freelancing for a client before, doing WordPress development stuff, not designing, just WordPress stuff, and was at the edge of burnout as well. I found myself doing weird stuff and say, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, what should I do? Because this single client is paying 100% of my bills. I have nowhere else to run. And I found Webflow, and I thought the same way. Like, that's it. That's how I will find my path to freedom. And yeah, it's amazing to see how Webflow changes people's lives, including ours here. And yeah, that it's very interesting. Since you spoke about like some of your struggles, I want to hear more about the struggles, because everyone look at Twitter and see like the flow man saving the day every day, and Tony Seets like winning every day. They think, okay, yeah, the freelancing life is amazing, and I cannot do that because these guys are like the next level. But everyone struggles. So I want to hear about the dirty stuff. I want to hear about your struggles. Like, what are the things that you struggle the most?
Oh man, I don't know. Just go really far
Sounds
back
like
in my
you're
Twitter.
first.
Yeah, just go really far back in my Twitter timeline, and you'll see all my struggles. Like I pretty much just put it out there. I mean, I just try to be upfront whenever possible, and maybe sometimes it was too much sharing. Like almost to a fault. But I kind of like, if I'm going to do this, I'm not gonna. I don't want to swear, but I'm not gonna bull poop my way through everything and be fake and whatnot. And so I did a lot of that on Twitter, like, I talking about how much time and effort I was putting in, taking client calls, trying to secure meetings and trying to secure projects, and then never getting them. And then, how many times do I want to give up? It's just not worth all this losing. But you just kind of keep going and keep pushing. And everybody out there on social media has been or still is struggling. I mean, I still struggle every single day with work, and it's Webflow makes it easier, but it's not easy,
Yes.
Mm.
Yeah. Cory, just like observation, you can't swear as much as you can here because we do that all the time. So feel free to go crazy. Yeah. Yeah. We want the dirty stuff. Yeah. You can say any fucking thing you want to say. Yeah. You're free here. Yeah. Total freedom. This is total chaos here. Full party is total chaos. And we're allowed to do anything.
Friendly, okay? Just trying to be family friendly.
This is not a family-friendly show. That's not what the full party is. Don't worry.
The YouTube channel hasn't gone for monetization yet.
Yes, yet. Is it all, Eric? Is it okay for us to swear as much as we can? Are you allowing it?
Oh, I forgot we're on YouTube.
No, yeah. Okay, maybe we save the swearing for the after party.
We'll do what we can.
Save your swear words.
Okay. And yeah, Tony, talk more about your struggles. I want to hear their stuff.
Yeah, I know. So the social media front is like something I'm 100% guilty of. So like one of the things that I've really taken to heart is like lately, we are like, I'm very much my own worst enemy as far as like getting in my way. So I figured out that like surrounding myself with people that support me and kind of like bolster my experience and understand what it is that I'm going through is absolutely critical. But what I'm telling myself up here, like the story that I'm telling myself is what is driving like what is actually happening in my reality, right? So like if I have a setback, like I can either view it as a negative thing or I can view it as like a learning lesson. So I try to convey a lot of that with what I do on Twitter, but I know that I don't know, some of that stuff is really hard to share because like it doesn't get a lot of traction, and that's not necessarily what I'm out for on Twitter, but it's really hard to break it down in a way that other people can understand how you're viewing something that's a pitfall as something useful. So it's a lot easier just to share the wins and things that people are going to grab onto and have an easier time to communicate with. So yeah, there's definitely been some struggles. I mean, like I shared in that first story, like having a relationship and having a family to take care of and responsibilities, and trying to maintain a full-time job as well as scale this thing on the side was just like wildly difficult and exhausting, like absolutely exhausting at times. I know Cory, you remember this story. Literally the week before I put in my last week of work was like one of the craziest weeks of work that I've ever experienced in my whole life, right? Like I put probably 60 to 100 hours into this project. I didn't track it. I just had to get it done. It was like a week timeline on top of my 40 or 50 hour a week salary gig. And it was like, this is stupid. You're killing yourself. But there's been like periods of that kind of throughout the last few years where it's like that's just what I had to do to make it work, right? Like my wife would go to bed at 9 or 10 o'clock and I would be up clicking away at the computer, and then I'd have to be up at 3 or 4 in the morning. But like that's the sacrifice that I guess I had to make to like actually make it work without taking away from the other things. And then, gatherings with friends and things like that, saying no. Like I couldn't attend or I shouldn't attend. I have work to do. That was a really big struggle too. I know one of my good friends, my wife and I were invited out to this barbecue, and it's just some friends that live maybe 10 minutes down the road. And I said, I can't do it. Like I've got a deadline on this project and like, I've got to get it done. And we had some interesting phone conversations as he was calling me and calling my wife, just trying to get me like away from my computer and what it was that I was trying to do. Before he like physically drove over here and like nearly hauled my backside out of the house so that I would like go hang out. And I mean, fortunately, like everybody was understanding when I got there that like I still had stuff to do, but I was able to like pop by and say hello. But it's always been like this for this longest time. It always felt like this constant battle between like trying to build this thing over here, living a life, and then working full time. And I think, like I don't know, that balance and that juggle was one of the hardest things for me.
That's kind of the ironic thing, isn't it? Like on the path to finding freedom is the amount of sacrifice that you have to make, and like for you and I, Tony, like our families are like, we're both married, I have kids, and so
we are 3 people with the same struggle. Married as well.
Yeah.
Have a 5 years old kid, 5 dogs and 2 cats. It's a big family here.
Hey.
Yeah, and it's really hard. Like I totally feel you, Tony. Like it's hard to balance things all, like family, personal stuff, and work. So people think that when you go freelancing, you have total control over everything. You work just whatever. I feel like working, so I'm gonna work today. Or no, I'm just gonna hang out. No, because yes, you have more control over your time, but it is still struggle because you have responsibilities, you have deadlines, and at the same time, you need to be there for your family. So yeah, it's a real struggle.
Yeah, and
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, I mentioned that I got my certified personal trainer certification, right? And I'm really into health and fitness, and like I understand body dynamics and like calories in, calories out, like can do all the math. But like one of the things that I had to sacrifice here in the last like 6 months was kind of my health and fitness, and that's something that I really hold like near and dear. Like I love to run, and I've had conversations with several other Webflowers, and like have marathon trained, and like I just love to get out and like get some miles under my feet, see some different scenery, and it helps keep me in decent physical form. But whenever I was like setting those challenges for myself in the past, it always seemed like professional success would kind of piggyback on like those different physical challenges. But I wanted to make this work so badly that like I just like all of everything that wasn't getting me directly to my goal just had to go to the side. And I was like, I'm either going to make this work or I have to quit because I'm killing myself in the process. And it was hard. It was really, really hard to like let go of all those different things and make a lot of that sacrifice. And then occasionally, I'd catch a win in that, and fortunately I was able to recognize some of those things, and be my own biggest cheerleader too. Cause like people don't notice all the struggles that you're going through. So it's like really, really important that you recognize those things and like you hold them near and dear and like you help them carry you onto that next struggle, and then the next phase of whatever it is that you're setting out to do. But
Celebrate those wins. You got to do it.
Yeah. You need to make it work somehow.
Yeah, but you know,
Yeah.
it's helpful like to be a part of communities like this, or like just growing your network, having people that support you. Like I remember, you know, I was sitting here at my home, like learning all this stuff on my own and not active really. I was on social media, but it was more just me complaining about how hard everything is. But eventually had somebody like reach out to me, and I remember one of my portfolio websites, I shared it with them just to get some feedback, and me thinking, I don't know if it's good or not. Does it suck? Is it going to work? I have no idea. I think it's okay, but what I don't really know. And just getting feedback from somebody else who in the industry, and just having them give such great feedback to finally maybe give a little bit of confidence to me. Like maybe I can do this. Like they think it's good. Maybe other people will think it's good. And so just, I think it's important to get those cheerleaders, to have people in your camp and who can support you. And I mean, it's obviously my family supports me, but they don't really get it. Like, you know, I can show my wife, hey, check out this website I built. What do you think? Oh yeah, honey, looks
That's
nice.
okay. Looks good. And I say, no, you have no idea how much time I put into this, like hard, all the sacrifices to make this work. You have no idea. Yes, that's true. That's very true.
So I think like
this is
support comes in different ways and forms from different people in your life. So maybe finding that professional support is key. So I mean, like honestly, I'm a big time introvert. Like I'm more than happy staying home, watching TV on the couch with the family and whatnot. But I think the social media nowadays, it's so much easier to build your network and connect with folks, you know? So I have a love-hate relationship with social media for sure, but I think you can make it what you want. Like, I think like look at Twitter.
Yeah,
you can just make your network what you want, and you can just filter out whatever else you don't. So
exactly. Yeah, well, I'm like you. Yeah, I'm like you. I'm a big introvert, and I was never like a social media person, like Facebook, Instagram. I was just there to consume information, was never sharing anything. But, well, since I made the decision to jump into freelancing full time, I had to show myself and show my work. So that's how I found Twitter. And I started on Twitter, showing myself because of that strategy. But today, for me, the community, the Webflow community and the Flow Party is fundamental for my life because, we all work along as freelancers, but we don't have to be alone. Like, it's a lonely work to be a freelancing, like being stuck in your office the whole day on your small room, just by yourself, just doing your work. The only contact you have with clients, and it's hard. It's hard. And having a community to support you, to raise you, and to have fun, like the Full Part, because we have fun every Friday. That's fundamental. That makes things a lot easier. And that I'm very grateful for the community on Twitter and the Full Party for helping with that. Like I feel a lot better today compared to what I was feeling before I jumped into Webflow stuff. And I got to meet a lot of cool people, like both of you. Like it's being so cool to talk to you guys on Twitter, and now here it's amazing, and that's because of the community. So it's fundamental to be there and be part of the community. Yeah. Okay, so now talking about the leap of faith itself, like the turning point when you finally decided, okay, I'm doing these stuff, but now it's time to go all in. Because I think that all of us were at some point testing the waters, see if this would work out or not, like getting some traction, but at the same time have like a part-time work or just doing a full-time work and at the same time trying to do stuff. But at some point, you guys made a decision saying, okay, now is the time to like get all these things behind and go all into full-time freelancing. I'm gonna be 100% Webflow freelancer. That's the moment. What was the event or whatever happened to you that was like the turning point when you finally decided that it was the right time to do it?
I'll go first.
Okay.
So I can see you holding your breath.
I don't.
So I guess there's like a little bit of a lead up to that. So like I said, kind of beginning of the year, I'm not a big like New Year's resolution kind of guy. I usually set like a 1-word resolution, and that's a byproduct of my wife. And my 1 word this year was accountability. And that kind of goes right in the face of the 3 years prior, 2.5 years prior, of me not actually meeting any of my goals that I set out to meet. And that's where the whole line of like the make it or break it comes from. So in that process, I started to look at like what I'd done in the past and what I was doing currently, and where I wanted to be in the future. And I really spent some time like journaling about where I was, like the things that I was basically tooling away doing that weren't getting me anywhere in the past, and then what I was doing like actively, like what my current day to day was that wasn't getting me where I wanted to be. And then I looked at my future, say 6 months from, I actually set out for November was this time frame that I had in my head of like, okay, either I make it by this time, or like I have to find something else to do. Maybe it's another career path. Maybe I just go on unemployment and give up. I don't know. But I started to like examine what life would be like in that future space, right? Like I look 6 months out and I'm like, so what does my day to day look like? Okay, cool. So now that I've got that day to day established, like what do my days look like leading up to that? Because that, like, none of it happens by accident. It's very much like a diligent choice every single day to like show up and overcome the struggles, and you're gonna have them. And I still do today. So in that process, I was able to kind of like let go of the things that weren't serving me, like trying to do design and branding and like run my own whole business as a, solo agency owner. I realized like I wasn't in alignment with what my true strengths were and what was actually giving me joy, and what I could actually feasibly achieve. So I gave up on design and branding and like went just all in on Webflow and Webflow development. And I'm like, this is just what I'm going to do. This is going to be my focus. Like, I'm just going to become a really good developer. Like whatever that takes, like I'm just going to set myself up some challenges, and I'm going to start learning stuff, and I'm going to start networking with the community, and I'm going to show up every single day, and I'm going to talk about it. And like, that's what I'm going to do. And literally from February to July, like I got on Twitter, I started sharing some of these things, sharing some of these ideas, and like learning all the while. And then like I kind of reached this point of like I guess there's a piece of that story missing. So I've always seen quitting my full-time job as something like scales that I needed to tip. It's kind of how I previously looked at it, right? Like I've got my salary income over here that's, paying the bills and keeping a roof over my head, keeping my wife happy. And then I've got this freelance or this business income. And I've always thought that like at some point I would hit this like threshold of like, okay, now I'm making 25, 50% of my salary income with my freelance money or agency money. And then I could quit because then I'd have more time to allocate. I thought that would happen a little bit more gradually, honestly. And what I realized is like, I wasn't just, by working my full-time job, I wasn't necessarily just throttling like the income potential, but I was basically limiting and giving a threshold to my ability to do the work and to think about it and to get it done efficiently. And then to talk about it, like just so much of my headspace was spent given to an employer. And there was a point in figuring that out that I didn't necessarily need like a total one-off balance or like a 2-to-1 balance. that I realized like I would literally do anything to get away from this job and make this thing happen. So if I can work in Webflow for 10 or 20 hours a week, I will go back to scrubbing toilets. Like I have no shame in that. Like I'm willing to do whatever it takes to like remove myself from this and give myself more headspace to do this other thing. And I think that was kind of the tipping point. It's like when I realized that I would do anything to make it work, no matter kind of what that meant. Like if it meant, you know, hitting up my friends or family members and being like, look, I can't do this job anymore because I'm going to lose my marbles and I want to work with you for 10, 20 hours a week. If I got to go mow lawns to do it, to like fill in the gaps between what I can do with Webflow and my, you know, freelance income, like I'm willing to do that. And I think the moment that I kind of figured that out, that I was willing to do whatever it was, is when it all kind of started to make a lot more sense. And I just started like lean really hard into like, okay, cool. So I want to put together a portfolio that says like, this is what I want to do. These are the people that I want to work with. These are kind of the terms. This is what I want out of this. And then hopefully, you know, somebody's listening to what it is that I have to offer. And like, maybe I provide some value for those people. And yeah, and I guess like it all worked. Like lucky. It's kind of what I feel like.
Yeah, it's a bit of everything, right? A bit of like effort, sacrifices, and sometimes a bit of lucky. But without the effort and the sacrifice, lucky never happens. That's the truth.
Yeah, that's true. Say luck is a huge part of it, unfortunately. But that's the power of networking, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I am certainly not the best Webflow developer, nor will I ever be. And that's not really my goal though either. Like I love doing it. I love doing the work, but I guess a mantra of mine has always been like, I don't live to work. I work because I need to live, you know, but I don't want my life to be defined by what my job is.
Exactly.
I want it to just be a tool to help me get that freedom and to do the things in life I want to do. You know, I want to provide things for my children that I didn't get to experience, or hell, I just want to go do stuff that I haven't been able to do before. So
yeah, it's funny to say that because that's something that I always tell to people. Like, sometimes people like just work because, like I said, they let the work define their lives. Like they want to change the world. They want to create something that will put them on the history, something like that. Man, you just work to make money. That's the truth.
Mm-hmm.
We work to change our lives. We need to work to change our lives first, the lives of people surrounding us, like our family or friends. Changing the world, changing someone else's life, like changing something, doing something great is a consequence that should happen after that. You need to focus on yourself first, on the life you want to have, because that's why we all work. We don't live for work. Like you said, we work to live, to have a good life. So we always have to prioritize things that give us a better life, a better situation, which is sometimes, most of the times, at least for us, it's freelancing.
And I fully realize that there are people out there who are the workaholics, and like if that's what you want to do, more power to you. Go for it if it makes you happy. I mean, just personally, that's not me at all. But
right,
I just don't think you have to be a workaholic to be successful, right? In whatever you want to do in life. So.
That's true. What was your turning point, Cory?
Oh man, well,
when do you realize that you were a hero?
I'm not a hero.
Oh, you are. Come on. You are a hero for a lot of people. Yeah. Like I said, seeing your story on Twitter was really inspiring. Like, because some people, they try, they fail once, they just give up. But you try a lot of things. I saw that. And somehow, at some point, you found yourself. And it's been amazing to see the progress. So, yes, you're a hero for a lot of people.
Oh, well, thank you. I think everybody's journey is completely different, right? But I mean, even starting off in all this, when I started learning coding and Webflow, I wasn't even thinking about going freelance. To me, freelance was just like, that's way too scary. There's too many unknowns. There's no way I could do it. I didn't even think about it. but as I was learning more and more and getting more and more sick of my day job, I thought, you know what? Maybe freelancing is what I want. I just keep going back to freedom. I just want the freedom to do more, to pick my kids up from school, just to have those types of things, you know, or hey, I don't want to work today, so I'm not going to. Just that kind of thing. But there were lots of things that had to align for me and my family to make that decision. I was carrying all of the medical benefits for my family through my job, through my employer. So I couldn't just give it up and then, well, what do we do for insurance? You know, and luckily my wife got a new job recently and her benefits were way better than anything that I was already getting. So that was just kind of one check mark, a big one to check off for us to make this switch. But I mean, more than anything, it's just, I really did not enjoy what I was doing anymore. I had no desire. I had no motivation. I just didn't want to do it anymore and I wanted out. So I think early on in 2022, I kind of said to myself, all right, the goal is however it's going to happen, I want to work full time doing Webflow, whether it's freelance, whether it's working for a company, whether it's 50-50, 70-30, whatever it is. However I get there, whatever gets me out of my job the quickest is what I'm going to do. That's kind of the mindset I had all throughout this last year. But I mean, the good thing about Webflow is it's easy enough for us to get into. I mean, there's plenty of resources out there to learn from. Yeah. I know, Tony, you mentioned Webflow University earlier. I will have to say that's probably one of the big things that made me stick with Webflow, because I love the university. And I love that comedy and fun infused into learning. I mean, that hooked me right there. So, but I forgot what I was saying. Yeah, I mean, but the fact that Webflow then is kind of, I hate to call it easy, but just kind of easier to get into it and pick up.
Yeah.
And, you know, now there's this sea of people that you're in, and how do you stick out? I'm sure there's thousands of us who can do the job and do it just as good as the next person or better, but how do you stick out? And that's something I think I struggled with. Like, yeah, I'll network as best as I can and just talk with people, but at some point luck has to play into it, right? And I remember, like, my previous portfolio website, I was like, yeah, it looks okay, it's fine, I'm happy with it, but nobody's filling out the form, nobody's contacting me for work, I'm not doing really any marketing at all. Like, do I really want to pump money into marketing? Like, I don't have that money to infuse. What am I going to do? And really, the whole Flowman thing, it was just stupid, dumb luck.
Yeah,
seriously. I mean, I was just sitting at work one day, and I was like, I don't know what I was looking at. For some reason, I had this idea pop in my head. Oh, what if I did some sort of superhero theme or a comic book theme? I don't know. It's like, well, lots of people put flow inside their name somewhere, you know, and I thought to myself, I'm not doing that. That's dumb. That's so cliche. I'm not going to do that. And then I had this idea about this. I had this comic book idea, and I was like, well, it's got to be Flowman, right? I have to go back and be a hypocrite. And I don't know. It's just one. I started kind of playing with the idea, and I kept finding like these assets I could use to put everything together. And one idea just kind of led to another. It all kind of snowballed. And the goal, I didn't even have the goal like, I'm going to make this thing so I stand out. That was never the goal. I was just like, I'm going to try this idea. And like I said, it just kind of snowballed, and I put it together fairly quickly. I think within a month or two, I went from idea to launching the website. But the response was overwhelming. Like I was not expecting it at all, but people loved it. People seem to love it. I don't know. It's just I'm grateful for the luck. I just think it's luck. It's pure luck.
Yeah, and
I
like I
don't
said, no, it's not luck. It's
Yeah.
the action. It's the attitude. Because you had an idea. Most of people will think like, okay, yeah, maybe I could try that. No, sounds dumb. I'm not gonna do it. No, you said it's dumb. I'm gonna do it, and you did it.
Yeah,
and,
well-
and everything makes perfect sense. Like the design on your portfolio, the whole concept, the copy, everything makes perfect sense. So it's a combination of things that makes it stand out. So
Yeah.
you had ideas, you tried some stuff, and you found an idea that worked, but you were constantly trying, constantly struggling, but trying. You never gave up, and you found a path. You tried it, and it happened. It worked. So
Yeah.
it's not lucky. It sounds
Well-
like lucky, but it's the will to keep going, and not just hire yourself and just like, because like I think that what Nani said at the beginning, like we are our worst enemies, right? Like we are the only ones that can like define where we can go, and it's hard. It's hard sometimes to trust your gut, but
Yeah.
the like trusting and just like don't overthink it. Just do it. Just go it with the roll with the idea. Just do it. That's what defines like how you move forward. Like being uncomfortable, out of your comfort zone, trying something else. Keep trying until you find your path. That's what defines success.
Yeah, if I can compare it to like my previous failures, like this project was something that I was having fun doing it. I wasn't thinking about anything else other than like, hey, this is fun. I'm gonna try this. You know,
Yeah.
Before it, I tried to put together my own little one-man agency. I was like, because I was thinking, well, how? I got to do something to stand out. I got to niche down. What can I niche down in? I was like, well, I've been in healthcare.
Yeah, I saw that.
Let me infuse healthcare into it. So I was like, I'm going to do this whole web design, Webflow development agency only for health-based websites. It was well-being design, I called it. I had a logo made. I built the site, launched the site. I was like, all right, everybody, here it is. And then I was kind of like, well, now what do I do? I don't have any marketing.
Yeah.
I'm not marketing at all. I don't have any really health-based clients I've worked with who I've helped fix their problems. Is like, what do I do from here? Do I put money into marketing? Do I try to go find health-based clients and offer to do pro bono work until it takes off? And I remember I had a conversation with an agency owner, and I was kind of asking them for advice, like, what should I do? And so I emailed them, and they didn't get back to me till a few weeks later. And they're like, I'm really sorry. I didn't get back to you sooner. I wasn't sure how to tell you this. But he's like, I think you need to narrow your focus down because your design skills aren't there yet. If you want to get your design skills up, I have some resources that can help you. But he's like, I think your talents lie more on the Webflow development side, and maybe you should think about focusing your efforts there. And I think maybe that was just kind of a little bit of the kick in the pants for me. I know there's a whole argument whether going Webflow dev only is a good idea or not, or what it's going to look like 5-10 years down the road. But for me, working full time, having a family to help raise, and already struggling with finding time to do the things I needed to do, it's like something's got to give. I can't learn 3-4 different things at one time. I need to set my focus. So I set my focus to just Webflow dev, and then that's kind of where Flowman came out of.
Yeah, like it's a combination of effort and focus and like just trusting your gut. So it's not lucky at all. It's hard work. Yeah. It's not giving up.
Diego, we talked of this kind of at the tail end of last week's Flow Party. Like Cory's site, my site, your site, the other one that we brought up, Marco's website built in Webflow. Like so much of what is there is actually like, these underlying tones of what it is that we want, right? Like it's pieces of our personality kind of intertwined with what it is that we want out of the thing that we're creating. The Flow Maestro site for me was like one of those things, very much like Cory. I started to build it, and honestly, I was trying to build something like a subscription model agency, and then like in the middle of that, I just felt like this is not going to work. It's not scalable. It's going to blow up for me. It's not doable. It's like a solo thing, and I don't necessarily want it to turn into an agency thing where I'm managing people and all the logistics of that. So I pretty quickly pivoted like in the middle of that, and then I just turned it into its very own thing. And like now it says like verbatim what it is that I want to do with my time. And then that's when I started to have the fun that Cory was talking about. Like I started building, and Cory remembers this, like as I built it, I'm sure. I was just sending him stuff, and I'm like, look at what I'm tinkering with. Is this cool? And so like I did that for a few people, and I like slowly built this website that it was going to be like a 48-hour design and build thing. Like I was going to film it and share the thing on Twitter just as like something to do, to have people watch me build, and then see if I could actually get it to take off. And then all of it just like in the middle of that build just didn't feel right. So I stopped, gave up on that entire plan, and then took what I had and pivoted to this other thing. And then I spent another month or two just like pouring myself into the page, essentially, like in different ways. Like that's why I think so many people have resonated with the copy on the pages, because it's like that's just all written from me. It's like those are things that I hold true, and what I can do and what I want to do. And fortunately, that was received really well. I think that there's power in putting into something that you want to get out of it, and then asking for it, and then sharing it and being excited about it. Because just like Flow Man, like it took off and got way more traction than I ever anticipated. I'm like, I'm going to push this thing out and people are going to laugh at me, and it's going to be a giant flop. And it wasn't. And I was like, what? Like it all felt kind of surreal. And I'm glad that I pushed through all that. And I think that a lot of people have kind of seen that same thing happen.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't push yourself out there, like nothing's going to happen. Like, I mean, if you didn't decide to hit publish, would you be here right now? I mean,
no.
I mean, maybe we've done that in the past. We've pushed publish and nothing happened. We failed. All right, well, going on to the next thing. But maybe just that infusing of the personality into your product, your offering is the key. Like, people want to work with other real people. Like, you don't want to work with somebody who's fake. Like, just, I guess, to do another cliche thing is just be yourself. Like, find a way to make it your own thing. Don't be, hey, that looks cool, I'm gonna copy that word for word, or I'm gonna just do what they're doing. I don't know. Find a way to make it your own.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. So a quick question from Maria. We're gonna open up the floor here for questions, and everyone can just mute yourselves in a minute. Just had one final question for them, but before that, Maria asked you like, how long did it took your business to actually took off? Like when you finally started working on it until you finally went to full-time freelancing, and you're doing a good amount of money to feel comfortable, keep doing it. How much time, more or less?
Oh, yeah, I don't know. I would definitely say that I would not follow the financial path I took here. I know that, lots of the advice of have your stockpiled emergency fund ready to go before you make the jump full time, which is A+ advice. I didn't do that. I was just so desperate to get out of my current job, and I felt like enough stars aligned that that I was going to take the chance. At some point, I had to bet on myself. Like I have to pull the trigger at some point, or I'm never going to do it. Otherwise, there'll always be an excuse for me. Like, I'm not ready yet because I don't have this amount of money I said I needed before I started. Like, I just,
Lisa.
I got,
Hi guys.
Hey.
I got to a point where I was like, I just got to try. I'm going to take a chance on myself. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. At least I tried, right?
Exactly.
So
Yep. That worst case scenario, that's what I bumped into as well.
yeah.
Was
But
like,
I mean,
if I gotta mow lawns to make ends meet, like that's what I'm gonna do, I guess.
yeah. I mean, I'm lucky enough. I have a partner in life that helps support the family too. And I can always go back to that job I hated because I have the skills to do it, but I sure as hell hope I never have to is the thing. But I'll say, like, the one thing I've been astounded. I was talking with Tony and somebody else just the other day. I'm just astounded at the amount of money out there that people are willing to spend on their websites. I can't get over it. I haven't seen that kind of money, but just hearing all the talk out there, like, it blows my mind that it just seems unfathomable to me. So
Yeah.
I don't know if you're quoting for a project,
Greater prices.
yeah, and you think if it doesn't make
Double
you
it.
uncomfortable,
Yeah, double it.
because
Yeah. There's so much opportunities on Webflow right now, and people have no idea. I'm keep raising my prices and testing the waters, and there's always like opportunity to make more money. So just do the best work you can and raise your prices. That's a good advice. Speaking of advice, my last question for you guys before we open for questions for everyone, so everyone can go crazy, is so you went there, you had all those struggles, you went to the final like part of your career that you finally decided to do the leap of faith and jump full-time freelancing, and you're here. What is the top one advice you would give for people who are thinking about doing it but are not confident enough right now to do that? What are your top advice?
I'll start. So I'll answer the last question real briefly. I've been at this since 2018, since April of 2018, like trying to make something work. And then I finally quit it and went full-time freelance and like made a big portion of my future dreams a reality. So that was a lot of time, and that's a lot of failure in that process. One of the big things that I keep circling back to my friends, family, myself, is like, don't sell yourself short. Like, just like I said earlier, we're so guilty of getting in our own way. Like, we are like, I am my own worst enemy on a daily basis. And all through this process, like, it was very much just overcoming these things that I had, basically these barriers that I'd created for myself. And like basically not having the confidence to do it because I didn't feel worthy, et cetera. Whatever story you want to tell yourself, or you are telling yourself, there's a good chance that it's not 100% true, because you're probably better than you think you are, and you're more capable than you believe you are.
Yeah, that's very true. And you, Cory, what you have?
yeah, I think at some point you just have to try, right? I mean, you don't have to just jump all in and go 100% right away. You know, like, you can just do it on the side first, see how you like it. Maybe it'd be a good barometer to see if you even like working in the kind of freelance style. Maybe you'll learn that, hey, I don't like this, but to just give everything up and start, and then all of a sudden go, crap, like, I don't like this. It's maybe helpful just to start off and dip your toes first. But yeah, I mean, confidence, I think there's not a day that goes by where I don't think I've made a giant mistake. Like, oh man, I don't know. Maybe I should have stayed in my nice cushy job where I knew what I was doing all the time. But at some point, you just got to let it go, right?
Yeah. It's okay to be scared. Like, we're scared all the time, right? But we're here. We're doing our best, and we're finding our way. So don't be afraid of being afraid. It's part of the journey. It's part of the journey.
I guess. Why are you doing it? think to yourself, what is your motivation? Why do you want to do it? Why do you keep going? Like, I wanted to quit so many times, but I just kept going back to like my kids. Like, I want more time with them. I want to take them places. I mean, I'm going to take, my wife and I are taking my kids to Disney next month, and it's been a dream forever. And I wouldn't be able to do it if I didn't go down this path, you know. Just little stuff like that is what keeps me going. So if I have a bad day, if I think I can't do this, it's like, well, why am I doing this in the first place? What's my motivation? And that keeps me going.
Nice. And that's it, guys. Thank you. That's Tony Seets and Cory Runnells. Like, was a pleasure to talk to you guys. Now, please, everyone, time to go crazy. Unmute yourself, show your faces, and feel free to ask questions to Tony, Cory, or Melissa. Wow. Yeah, that's great. That's amazing.
I had to look at me.
Diego, you forgot one question. You forgot one question for these guys that everyone wants to know.
Yeah, go
When
ahead.
you're starting out, how do you get clients? Cold emails, connections, very important. Everyone.
I'm still trying to figure that out. I don't know.
Yeah, but still
Every day.
help everyone out.
I just said that to Tony earlier today. Like, man, I wish I had some more stuff lined up here soon. But I think it's just keep showing up. I mean, share what you're doing. Even like, it doesn't matter what it is.
I tell that all the time.
It's just a little
Twitter?
project.
Where do you
Twitter,
share
whatever your favorite social media platform is. I mean, I'm on Twitter. That's pretty much what I use. I'm on LinkedIn, but I hate LinkedIn. I just kind of randomly post it. But some people swear by LinkedIn and think they get all their leads from LinkedIn. But it's just about showing up and showing your work. And it's gonna take time, though. You know, it just doesn't happen. You just keep going. Eventually, maybe you'll do a job for a client and they'll love it and they'll come back to you for more, or they're gonna tell a friend or a family member, and eventually it'll snowball. But as long as you do good work and make your clients happy, like, eventually I think it'll come.
I think it's a combination of things. It's not just like focus on one thing. It's sharing your work on social media, on Dribble, whatever it is that you niche on. Give the best value you can to your clients at the beginning. Like, literally go above and beyond. You're not like a established freelancer. So make sure that all the projects that you get, you go above and beyond, even if you're not making enough on that. And you will set yourself for success that way, because your clients will appreciate the work you did, come back to you to do more pages, refer you to new clients. And then if you're showing up every day on social media, or at least every week showing your work, you'll start building that reputation. Look at Grace, look at Keith, look at you guys, like what you have done, Tony and Cory. Like, you've always been there on social media, even if it's not sharing your work, but you've shared your journey, and people appreciate that. Look at Diego. Diego is the perfect example of that.
Thanks. Yeah. One more thing, like, for me, the best work you do is your biggest marketing asset. So once you have done a project, you did your best project, do your best as well for the presentation. So look at Apple, for example. They sell the same shitty phone every year. It's the same thing. Like, nothing literally changes. Some things change, but it's the same thing. But
they got Dynamic Island now, Diego. Come on.
Come on. That's to cover their own mistake. So yeah, fuck that. So, like, it's the same product, but they put so much effort into the presentation of what they're selling that people are buying because of that. So do your best work, and also do your best to showcase your work. So that's what I do every time. Every time I create a project, I just don't like take a screenshot and paste it, or just paste the link. I do my best. I create a video, put audio, put some effects, like make the presentation really pop, like have that wow effect, because it's your biggest marketing asset. You don't have to like spend money with advertising, etc. If you spend your time doing your best work to showcase the work you did, that's the biggest thing you can do for your brand and for your business, I think. At least that's what I think.
Yeah, my clients haven't necessarily come from any one specific place. Like I still have some local clients today that I'm trying to finish up work for, and if you're a solo freelancer and you're working with local clients on anything web development and you don't have experience under an agency, etc., that is not a path that I recommend. A lot of the companies that are turning to Webflow are like startup-based businesses, fintech, large industries where they have lots of money and they're willing to work with an agency. A lot of the small, like local businesses, it's really hard to convince them of the value that you're giving them, and it's really hard to charge them what is actually an appropriate fee. So then you end up selling yourself short, and you end up like way overworking yourself, and then your work isn't valued. Like it can be done, but I think without that experience in the space, like it's a really, really hard ask. So I caution against anybody trying to go the route that I previously tried to go with the experience that I didn't have. Aside from that, the client work has kind of come from just a multitude of different places. Some of it's come from Twitter, some of it's come from previous clients. I think the biggest through line in all of it is that like it's always just come from the relationships I've built and the quality of the work. That and Diego was touching on that too. I whether this is good or bad, like I stand by the work that I do, right? Like I helped Arcade launch that website last week, and that was a job that was passed over to me by somebody who didn't have the time to do it because they were busy with other work, right? So one, I recognize that like I am a representation of the person who referred it. So like I have to do good work in their name, because otherwise I make that person look bad. And then two, like I want myself to look good, right? Like I don't want to give somebody something that doesn't satisfy what they're paying me for. So I wanted to give them a fair exchange of value. So like that site launches and there's some bugs on it. Like I wrote a script the night that they published it, because I didn't know that they were going to publish it, to disable a certain component in Safari browsers. And I'm like, I gotta fix that. Like I feel personally accountable for the fact that I missed that in my build process. Like that should have been part of my QA. So a lot of people might like dismiss that and be like, okay, their team should have done proper QA and you should be charging hourly to get that thing fixed. No, I spent another 6 hours working on that one bug to get it working, because like that's a testament to who I am and what I had said that I was going to deliver, right? And not delivering on that promise is not something I wanted to wear on my shoulders. And I've done that. I've done that on other projects too. They're like, this isn't working. Can you jump in and help us? And at a certain point, I think that I could be taken advantage of in that regard. There's also, it's so much of it's for my own sanity, right? Like it's like a warranty that I stand behind the quality of what it is that I do. And I think some of that comes through to the people that I work with as well. And then that also gets me more work. So
yeah, I think if you care about the project, it's going to come across to the client. They're going to know whether or not you care, you know. Like I tweeted out yesterday, was it, that like about deadlines and how deadlines stress me out, but I think it's because I care, and I don't want to disappoint. I don't want something to fall behind because of something I did or did not do. So I think it's almost though a given though. Like we're all here, we're all doing this because we do care, right? Whatever our end motivation or goal is, we're doing it for a reason, and we're not just like, yeah, I'm gonna take this project, but yeah, whatever. Like that's not why we're here.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, people, come on, show your faces and unmute yourselves and ask questions. Thanks, guys.